One Team One podcast is back, episode 135. Here with Jack and Charlie. It's been 2 weeks. We
Well,
ended up taking a week off after the Alabama win.
we had our own
Um,
Alabama hangover. Yeah.
yeah, what do we? I mean,
Us
I
and us and Mike Denbrock.
yeah, Denbrock.
Grab the wrong playbook.
Yeah, I want to get into that. Not I didn't expect to get into it this quick, but definitely wanted to talk about Arkansas. Jackie threw me
I'm
off.
just making, jokes and stuff.
Yeah, so we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, we beat Alabama. I think everybody understands what's happening now with Alabama and where we stand. Obviously, we won the West. We're going to talk about that. Beating Arkansas. We can kind of recap that game a little bit, but move on a little bit to obviously UAB. What a trap game this could be. Like this,
Yeah.
this is the ultimate of all trap games, right? So we can talk about that. I don't think UAB is good enough to do that, but we can talk about that. Move ahead a little bit to Texas A&M and also look ahead to Georgia since we're already in the freaking game. But before we do that, we can talk about our sponsors. Give a quick shout out to Bank of England Mortgage, Patrick Michelson over at Bank of England Mortgage. I sat two rows behind Patrick and his dad at the Alabama game. So
Oh, wow.
it was pretty freaking cool experience to not only be at that game, but then turn around and see Patrick and his dad, who played at LSU. They were experiencing the game together in the stands, and I was just like, man, this is just what a moment that is for those guys. But appreciate Patrick. Bank of England Mortgage has been a great sponsor of us. BOE, southernstates.com. Check them out online. They have a fast app feature. You can apply for a mortgage or refi there, and then they'll assist you as it goes along. They'll show you the right products you need to be in. Call them at 225-810-1805. Also, River Cities Total Maintenance, Lucas Ragusa. I've been talking to Lucas. There's Fred's. No, Lucas right there. I've been talking to Lucas. He was also at the Alabama game. It's like you catch up with all these friends after a game like that, and it's just like, man, where were you? Like, where were you? And like, I loved that part of that whole experience with this, and Lucas was there obviously, and we were just kind of like in awe of that game. But also, we were kind of debating on best games we've ever been to, and we had a little bit of an argument with that. But so call Lucas in the North Shore area, can help with all of your AC heater. It's getting cold now. You need to get your heaters checked. If you're smelling like burnt rubber, yeah, call Lucas right now. So call him at 504-841-3300, NOLA-AC.com in the North Shore area. Also, yeah, Fred's. All right, so Fred's in Tigerland was just off the chain for the Alabama game. We were there for Ole Miss as well. They've been rocking and rolling. They're probably a little happy with this little break that we're having with a couple of road games here. We had a road weekend last weekend, but then also an 8 p.m. kick with the UAB game, but then another road game. So I'm sure they're probably enjoying the reprieve a little bit. But Fred's is doing their thing still. Oldest college bar in Baton Rouge, but also a huge event venue now. I mean, they just got all kinds of events going on all the time. So,
Well, I mean, Fred's has been. I was out of town for the Arkansas game, but I heard that Fred's was kind of popping for the Arkansas game.
really,
People even got there for the 11 a.m. kick. So
11 a.m. kick. They watched it there.
Yep. If I'm in town for A&M, I'm probably going to be. I'll probably go to Fred's for the 6 o'clock kick. It
Yeah.
seems the right place to go for that.
Absolutely, that would be a great place. I mean, they have the big screen. They bring in the screens along the side of the bar too. Like they have it all set up.
They got heaters too, so it's really not even cold even outside.
There you go. Yeah, they've got it figured out. I was talking to somebody today about Fred's and how they really just have it. They have it under control and they understand all the possibilities, especially having an outside venue. But also, I get to talk about a new sponsor. We don't have a graphic up for them yet, but just talked to them today. The Jambalaya Pot. They're actually right across the street from Fred's and Tigerland. They're right in the S&P parking lot right there. They have a food truck. They just started doing this food truck this year, and they're going to eventually have a an actual brick and mortar store. So check out the Jambalaya Pot. They gave us a whole bunch of food. I got it sitting on my counter. I just had some gumbo. It was fucking lit. It was awesome. So
Shit's fast.
yeah, go check those guys out. They just started, I think, DoorDash as well. So they're just now getting off the ground. What a great way, just set up in Tigerland. What a great start for an up and coming business. So go check those guys out, and we'll go check our Instagram out because we posted their info today. But all right, so let's get started. SEC West champs. LSU, the 2022 LSU football Tigers, SEC West champs. Tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to think that we're going to be playing like in Atlanta in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel real yet. It just doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel like a part of the timeline. But I guess I'm down to go. I'm down to go play in it. I'll accept the invitation. I guess if they're offering.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all have looked at tickets yet, but it's around $550 a piece for the worst seats in the stadium.
Not yet. Not yet.
So I'm thinking about making the trip to Atlanta, but just not going to the game because that sounds like a little bit out of the one team, one podcast budget,
Yeah.
just slightly. Two tickets is going to run you at about $1,100.
And a
So
half.
you're not even really going to be able to see that well. So if you want to see, it's probably going to run you at about $2,000. So
Yeah, and I've talked to a couple of people about maybe trying to get a ticket. I don't know if I'm doing that either.
Yeah. it's going to
you
have to be a deal, and then I don't know where I'm going to get that deal
Yeah.
from.
And not only a deal, but I would like to go with like a whole bunch of people if we're gonna go do that. Like, let's just blow it out and like have like a huge party with it. And I'm sure there's so many people going to do that, and good for them, man. Like I just, yeah, it's just one of those things this year. You just weren't expecting to pay for that this year in your budget. Like this was not expected.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what was I saying? And then we're already a 16, 17 point dog. So if you're traveling all that way, spending all that money, you'd like to at least think that you got
Somewhat of a chance.
you're within a touchdown line of the team you're playing. So I don't know if I want to spend all that when we're such a heavy dog,
Yep.
But it would still be a fun trip if you do have the money.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
always a fun trip in Atlanta. And we'll talk about this game for just a second because obviously, excuse me, Georgia is to me light years ahead of everybody else in college.
they're the
football
best
this
team
year.
in the country. Yeah.
They are, and you saw them sleepwalk probably two weeks in a row. I think it was Kent State and Missouri back to back. But whenever they had to play well against a good team, they just stuck their thumb on them and buried them.
Right.
I'm a huge LSU homer and all that, and I'm thinking like, okay, you never know, like, Perkins is spying Bennett, and we'll get to Perkins, I'm sure, in a second. Like, yeah, force a couple of turnovers, hold them down, get our offense clicking, which is obviously probably the part that's
biggest what if.
yeah, exactly. But all that to say, like, I still don't think we're. I think that we should just enjoy being West champs right now.
Yeah.
But I will say this.
Yeah.
This reminds me of a game that I went to in 2001 where we snuck into the SEC championship game. Tennessee was number 2 in the country. They were supposed to go to the national championship game if they would have beat us, probably 17-point favorite at the time. And we snuck in there. Rohan Davey gets hurt. Matt Mock, we win the game. Like, it reminds me a lot of that same situation. Obviously different.
You saying Jaden's getting hurt and Garrett's coming in?
No, I'm not saying that at all. No, I think it's a very similar situation as far as like a huge, favorite going into the game, and we sneak out of there with a win, and we snuck into the game to begin with, and it's the same thing this year.
Yeah,
I'm kind of thinking it's going to be a close game.
I'm praying it is.
I just think that I think Jaden's usually gonna. William's staring me daggers right now. I just think that Jaden's gonna when we need big games like, I mean, Ole Miss, Alabama, I think he's come up and made big plays. This is a clutch team, and I think if we actually, I feel like if it's a close game, I think we'll win, and
Mhm.
I think it's either we win close or they blow us out.
I can see that.
I think
I
if
could
it's
see
a
that.
close game, I think we're a clutch team, and we've played in a lot of close games, and I think that actually gives us an edge in a close game against them because they haven't played in any close. I guess Missouri.
Missouri.
Other than
Yeah.
that, I mean,
Um,
it's Missouri, so who
let me
cares?
say this really quick. Brian Kelly playing 14 games in his first season at least is not what anybody thought was going to be close to possible, right?
Williams
Mhm.
is one thing.
Um,
Hey, what's up, guys?
William in the house.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet for you. As an LSU fan, I feel like we can't keep saying both of these things. We can't keep saying we're in the playoff. I mean, in the SEC championship, have a chance at the playoffs. We're a top tier team, and B, UAB is going to be close at home. You can't say both because both can't be true. You can't keep it close with UAB and contend in the postseason. Fuck UAB. We're beating them by 45.
Oh, I love it. Will out. Will is
Yeah.
out.
Beach.
Will has left the building.
He said, "Great moments are born."
Will's always got a great miracle.
It's
miracle
really just that one.
line.
That
All right, so yeah, let's just the elephant in the room is there. Y'all live with a UAB grad.
Yeah, he actually just left on a date. A little datey do.
He did what?
He just left to go on a date.
Okay. So he's not here to actually defend himself. So no holds barred now. But yeah. So you'll see some score predictions tomorrow when we post our crew predictions, and you'll see Sam's, and I'm gonna have a disclaimer underneath saying UAB grad, so everybody can understand where he's coming
You don't
from.
need that. You don't need that. Just let him make his pick.
Oh, and let everybody roast him for it, no matter.
Just let him make the pick. Don't say
Okay.
anything. Don't
Okay, I won't do that.
It's all good. He
Okay.
knows what he's doing. He wants the smoke.
Yeah, he does want. If anybody was ever born to take the
Someone who
smoke,
wants the smoke.
if there was anybody ever that was born to take the smoke,
Sammy
it was
Smokes.
Sammy
Yeah.
Smokes for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so we'll come up with those. I don't know this. The Georgia game. I'm just telling you right now. I see it as a 3-touchdown win for Georgia at this point. I mean, just being completely fair, but it's fine. It's whatever. Like I'm all in. I'm all in. Like.
I mean, these are both teams that get up for big games. I mean, like I know William was just saying you can't say we're going to be close with UAB and then also have a chance to beat Georgia. But I think that's actually not true. I think,
So this is y'all like fighting amongst each other here.
Maybe it's a debate that just started, but I think that, because we just beat Bama and then we beat Arkansas by 3 with their backup quarterback. So
backup in third string.
it's you're very capable of, there's no transitive property in college football. You can be real good one week, be a top 5 team, and then the very next week you can suck. It's very possible for
2007-esque.
For
Exactly.
sure. And I think well, let's talk about that Arkansas game a little bit, because obviously you just had a defensive coordinator scheme up a game plan against us and made our offensive coordinator look like he didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
There was a lot of blame after that game on Jaden Daniels, and
Warranted.
why?
No, I said warranted.
Warranted for sure. I don't think he played well, but I also think that there was no adjustments made by the offensive staff to put him in a good position. And yeah, he didn't play well. But
And the game sucked.
Run the fucking ball.
Either run the ball or give him some short passes for Christ's sakes. Like how many times did we see four verts? We would run 4 verts.
I don't know if that, Matt, though, because they were taking away everything that was underneath.
No, Jack. There was plenty of times where I saw they would show the replay. You had 3 wide receivers with their back turned to the ball, still running when he had pressure on him. Like, what is he supposed to do? There's no check down. There's nobody. Like, change your routes. Get a guy like that can run a curl or an out quickly and get the ball out of his freaking hands. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna have these guys running 20 yards down the field and you're hoping for the best with no pressure, like I don't know what to tell you after week whatever. Like get the ball out of his hands.
But what did our offensive game plan expect? I mean, their
I don't
backfield
know.
fucking sucks. Everybody's hurt.
Well, and they
So
did
how
they
do, how
did
do they
the
expect us to not attack it, right? So
they
what are
did
they
like
do?
they
They're gonna
did like a
send 8
drop
guys.
drop a 7 and 8 kind of thing a lot of times.
Yeah,
and
they had 2 linebackers spying a lot of the time.
yeah, and they confused
My
us.
thing though with Jaden is like just throw the fucking ball though. Like,
Yeah,
just-
I agree.
Just
Now,
like even if they're not open, even if he's covered,
I agree with that.
throw the fucking ball. Our receivers are just better. They're just better.
Yeah,
like-
you have one-on-ones, right? Like,
And maybe it's a coaching thing. Maybe it's not on Jaden. Maybe they're telling him to think like that. Whatever.
well, now we saw
You
that
know-
at the very beginning of the year. Like he was
Yeah,
holding on the ball because he didn't want to turn the
that's-
ball over.
And maybe part of the game plan here was just like we know they're not going to score points, so like let's just be safe as hell. But we still had 2 turnovers, even despite being safe as hell.
Yeah.
So even if you are safe, that doesn't guarantee you're not going to turn the ball over. So just air the fucking ball out. Be
I agree
aggressive.
with
Also didn't utilize the running backs in the passing game.
And that's a big thing we talked about in the offseason where just Brian Kelly games sometimes are just fucking boring. And this was like a classic Brian Kelly just boring game. I mean, as classic Brian Kelly as it gets, right?
Yeah,
And
for
not
sure.
that Brian Kelly's a bad coach, but just like sometimes
No,
those games are boring to watch and
Well,
there's zero aggression.
we
on
talked about a few of those where it's like sometimes you have these boring games where it's very close to the vest and you squeeze out a win.
Right.
But then I would see a lot of times with Notre Dame games, if they played a team that they were supposed to beat, they beat the fuck out of them. Which leads me to like a UAB team, a UAB game coming in here. Like I could easily see us winning, 45-10. And
Yeah, I mean, that's not always true though, because I mean, I can think back to last year. I think it was like Tulsa or something like that, and they only beat them by a score. So that's not always true with Brian Kelly teams, and that team
I
went.
remember like 66-0 games, like where it was just like,
Sure, there were those too, but I remember a lot of times like with like teams like Toledo and shit like that, where like they would end up having a real close game, like. And it was games that like it was close. The final score was close, but like Notre Dame was in control, kind of thing.
mhm.
A lot like this Arkansas game. I felt like we were in control the whole game. There wasn't really maybe at one point in the fourth quarter, like 10 minutes left, where I was like, oh, they could like do something here.
Yeah,
But I
right.
mean, for the most part, I felt like we were gonna win the game regardless. Like I don't know. So it's kind of just how he likes to play against those like teams that are just offensively inept. where
Yeah,
he's just-
he knew he had a backup quarter. All right, can we talk about this backup quarterback that they were just like pumping to be like freaking Usain Bolt out there?
Yeah, I mean, no, he was a freak. No,
He-
Absolutely, no.
guy-
It's
That
it's
guy
more
runs-
of,
no. That kid runs like a fucking gazelle.
it's not that. It's
but
not
Harold
that.
Perkins is just that fucking guy. He's
Yeah.
if that guy's a deer,
Hang on.
fucking Harold Perkins is a goddamn cheetah. Like
Harold him Perkins.
I have a quote from Kirk Herbstreit before the Alabama game that perfectly sums it up. Harold Perkins' job is to spy the quarterback, and if he moves outside the pocket, I hit him. And I was like, that,
Absolutely.
yeah, that
And that is that in itself is a game plan for our defense right now. That's how fucking good that guy is.
yeah.
It's unbelievable. Have you ever seen? I tweeted that out after the game. Like, have you ever seen a linebacker performance this dominant ever? And it was like wide margin. Yes, of
Yeah.
course. Like they've never seen anything like this. Is the most dominant performance. But I can even go further than that. Like that performance was probably one of the top, I would say, 5 defensive
I'd say,
performances
yeah.
ever in a game
by a single player.
by
and,
any
like,
player at LSU.
3
top
of the
10?
5 are
Top
Tyrann.
10 at
He's in
least.
there.
Like that was the most dominant defensive performance by one
mean-
player in a game.
I mean, he tied the sack record, so it's
Yeah.
at least top 10.
I mean,
right?
the only people you can think of probably is like the Honey Badger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you said that, and I'm like, 3 of the 5 are Tyran. One's RDT. and
Yeah,
he's probably
right.
another one.
Like
Right.
Kevin Minter had like 20
Yeah.
tackles against Florida one year. Like
fuck
Devin
us.
White probably had a game. You know, it was like things like that. But this is a true fucking freshman who is like the best player on the entire field, offense or defense.
Yeah.
And
Would you say that's right? Would you say
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true?
I think
That's
to
Harold
be
Perkins.
honest-
Harold Perkins is our best player on our entire roster.
Jay Bramblett's pretty good, but yeah,
I-
I'd say Harold Perkins edges him out. Jay Bramblett's having a year, bro. Nobody's talking about Jay Bramblett.
that dude could fucking boot it, but he also muffs a punt like a goddamn idiot too. He's muffed 2 or 3 a game sometimes. Like the
2 or
Florida State, he had 2 muffed punts, pretty bad, and then he muffed one this week that was really bad.
when you say muff punt, what are you talking about?
Like he just doesn't
Kicks
fucking
him off
hit
the
it.
side of his foot or something?
Yeah, he just fucks
Oh,
it
okay,
up.
okay,
Oh,
okay.
you mean shank?
A shank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
bad.
A muff meaning okay,
Dude,
gotcha.
You said muff, and I was like, "What is he just dropping the ball?" I don't remember seeing that.
Mm.
Jay Bramblett's got a leg, but
He's got a leg.
I was just making a joke. But Harold Perkins is probably the. I mean, dude, he could be the best defensive player in the fucking country. Like,
And
name me somebody better. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm the same
I don't-
way. Like
I don't know all the guys.
this kid's a first team All American. Like
Mhm.
not freshman, not any of that. He's a
Yeah.
first team fucking
All-American.
All American player.
Well, I mean, 2 games in a row, he's been the defensive
the guy.
player.
Look, right after the
Also-
game, I
player.
flip it over to the Alabama Ole Miss game, and they're talking like Gary Danielson obviously is the one that makes this comment, but and it's not nothing against Gary Danielson. It was probably thought of as like Judkins. He was like, and this is our SEC freshman of the year, Quentin Judkins at Ole Miss, and like he just made that statement, and I understand, but it's like at the same time, like, ugh, like
I mean, it's a
he's
close
a great
race.
player.
Look,
Yeah, he's great.
So
Judkins
has played all year.
Harold didn't play like the first 5
Right.
or 6
Yeah,
games, whatever. So fair.
That's-
I mean, I could see that, and Judkins is going to have crazy stats this year.
well, no, he leads the SEC
like
in touchdowns and yards,
1,400 yards rushing,
something like that.
or over 1,000, not 1,400.
Yeah, for sure.
1,400 is the guy from UAB that's coming in.
No, Dwayne
Um,
Wright's fucking sick.
I haven't seen him play at all, so I've just heard.
Sam's been showing me some of his.
Oh, I'm sure he has.
But Harold Perkins,
No, okay, but McBride's good. He's got the 1,400 yards, but the backup guy too, he's got like 800 yards. So like they
Okay.
got their top 2 running backs have combined for like 2,200 yards already, and this is like 10 games into the year.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, can you
Goodness,
see anybody just coming in here and running the ball right up
Nope.
on the? I know.
That's why I think this is a good matchup, actually.
I agree
I mean, it's UAB, so it's already a good matchup.
for
But,
sure. Yeah,
like if they had a quarterback that was throwing for 350 a game, I'd be a little bit more
I
concerned.
the exact
Yeah.
same way.
But
Right.
like, there's no way their offensive line's just gonna throw our defensive line around. Like, I don't see that. I mean, if that
Especially with-
does happen, then Georgia's gonna fuck us. But
yeah,
I just don't see that happening.
especially with the way Jocelyn Roy played last week against Arkansas's
Right.
like very good offensive line because they got like one of the most senior offensive lines in the SEC.
And so here's another thing about UAB that Sam obviously pointed out to me is that they had 3 straight losses in October against all 3 of the better teams in the Conference USA, and they were out on their starting quarterback, so they could be like 7-3, 8-2. But they're 5-5 right now because they were missing their quarterback, and they lost all 3 of those games that they didn't have them. So that played a big part in that. But that's just a little tidbit. They're better than their record says.
I've
in
seen
terms
that.
of conference.
They've been a good team for the last couple of years. Their coach left at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Bill
They're
Clark.
consistently one of the better teams in the Conference USA.
They always had a good defense the last couple of years too, because Bill Clark was a great defensive coordinator leading into his time. But yeah, I just don't see this. I think you would have to. I don't know. I don't even know how they would pull up the upset right now. I think that it's like I said, it's an ultimate trap game, but I just don't think that.
I mean, I know how they pull off the upset. It would just be our offense plays
Yeah,
like
Mike Denbrock grabs the wrong
I mean,
playbook again.
I feel like even if our offense plays like it did last week, we still edge it out. But if it plays a little bit worse than it played last week, then I think we actually could lose the game. But I think our offense is going to take a step up because I think
Yeah.
they had their bad game last week and now they're going to step it up and play a lot better.
I also just think we completely misused certain
Oh.
positions last week. To
What do you mean?
nullify the rush from Arkansas, we used our running backs, which were typically on a hot route on a max protect most of the time. Our running backs were typically the hot route on stuff like that. And instead, we used the running backs complete max protect with no hot route other than the 3 or 4 receivers that are out there. And Jaden, yeah. And so Jaden loves to dump it off to Josh Williams and to John Emery. And when John Emery gets on the outside, holy shit, that dude is fucking fast.
Well, yeah, that was a big part too. Is that I think John Emery was going to be a big part of the game plan.
I think it was too. Yeah.
Hurt first quarter.
Yeah.
He had 3 carries for 40 yards. So
What's the verdict on him right now?
I haven't heard anything.
I'd assume we'd try to rest him.
I listened to Brian Kelly's press conference Monday. I didn't hear anything about him. I'm assuming we'll get an update
Because
tomorrow.
I really do like the Josh Williams, John Emery
Dude.
combo right now. I think it's
sick. And
Huh?
dude, Noah Kane's playing.
It's
good.
working well.
Noah Kane is doing
Noah
really
Kane-
well at kickoff return.
Yeah.
Which is
No,
like,
what the fuck is that?
where did that come from?
What the hell is that? I mean,
That's
that's
been a couple weeks now.
fantastic. Dude, he had a couple like nice. I mean, we only got to like the 30 or whatever, but just like nice little returns against Alabama.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That was surprising too.
Like
When I
that's
saw
so-
him on the field, and I was like, "Wow, that's different." I didn't
Right,
think that was
yeah.
even a possibility. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
never something I thought of, but I'm all for it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but I think Emery's definitely going to be. I mean,
He'd
they'll
be
probably
rested.
rest him this week because he's going to be important in College Station and in the SEC championship.
Mhm.
You're going to definitely need him against.
All right. So here we go. We're
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M's got who they got UMass this week, which is a win.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I mean,
even
they're-
UMass, it's a win.
They're very fortunately playing the worst team in college football.
Yeah, right. I think it's a 33.5 point spread, by the way.
Yeah, something like that.
I never would bet UMass, but
I would take the under,
Yeah.
yeah, take the under sounds great. The under sounds great.
34-0 type game. I can see that.
But okay, so they would be 4-7. We would have to win to make them
4-8,
be
yeah.
Texas 4-8, right?
It's setting
but-
up perfect.
It is. It's
They're the
so
worst team in the SEC. Dude, they play Vanderbilt tomorrow, they lose. I'm so convinced of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
If they play Vanderbilt tomorrow, they lose. And Vanderbilt just beat Kentucky, so it's not that crazy of a thing to say.
right.
My best friend goes to Vanderbilt and he goes, "Holy fuck, why can't we play A&M this year?" I was like,
yeah,
I
right.
don't know, man.
Yeah,
He's like, "We got to play them last year or the year before that when they're fucking good. They got Kellen Mond, they got all these guys.
They had a tough schedule. They had
Fucking play 'em."
Alabama and Ole Miss this year. That's tough.
yeah. Vanderbilt did. Yeah.
Well,
All right, so yeah, we got to play Texas A&M at A&M, and I think even though we have the SEC championship after that, I think that we hate A&M so much that
Running it.
we'll stick our thumb on them.
Okay, can
Yeah.
we talk about something real quick with A&M? Because like people always want to say like, oh, this is not a rivalry. This is a made up thing. Like they wanted to make this a rivalry. It's not. It's a rivalry.
No, I said that with Arkansas, but A&M.
No, I know, but people say it about A&M all the time too, and like they say like one of the reasons they hate A&M is because it's not a rivalry, and I'm like, you're like contradicting yourself because you're saying you hate them, like
yeah.
you hate a team, like, and we play them every year, last game of the year, and you hate them every single time. They're your most hated team in the league. That's your rival. Like, I mean, this is our biggest rival.
It is. I think the weird thing is that A&M's got a rival. They just don't play them. It's Texas.
Right. I mean,
they
sure,
they
like-
will play them.
It's like
But-
we were their temporary, like patch.
But I honestly, even in the '80s, we played A&M every year. From like in the '80s all the way to the '90s, we played them every year beginning of the season. So there was a lot of animosity between A&M and LSU because we fought recruits over and over and over. Like there's Harvey Williams, like we stole from A&M like
Yeah.
overnight.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stories about recruits like that, but also when you then get into the 7 overtime game and
that's
then
not-
then the Jimbo Fisher son, like with our what was the coach?
Kevin Falk.
No, the other guy, the
Yeah.
other assistant coach with the
Arnsparger.
pacemaker.
Arnsparger.
No, not Arnsparger. That's
Something else.
It's Kevin
I
Falk.
forget. I forget this guy's name. I forget the guy's name. He had the
Well-
pacemaker or whatever, and that's when Kevin Falk got in there, and that was the
Oh, okay.
epic picture or whatever. That game started it to be like, okay, this is like we really, really hate each other.
Well, it's
Um,
because you landed a punch on Daddy, and all of a sudden he's pissed.
Yeah, and we
Right.
owned them. We own A&M.
We
Like,
were
and they
7-0
finally
since they joined the SEC.
right. They finally
They
won
win one in 7 overtimes on a bunch of bullshit.
on a bullshit calls. Right, and
Yeah.
that was even more. It was like that was even more of an issue. What's that?
Steve Crackthorpe.
Crackthorpe. That was it. Poor Steve Crackthorpe.
Yeah.
But
Parkinson's,
anyway,
guys.
that was why we beat the shit out of him in 2019, and like Joe Burrow was like feasting on playing Texas A&M. Honestly, I mean, we could have beat him in 2020. Max Johnson
Yeah,
just.
we had fucking. Well, no, TJ Finley started the game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. If Max Johnson was going to play the whole game,
Max Johnson would have started. We
Yeah.
probably would have won the game.
exactly.
And then, yeah, because TJ Finley came in. I mean, he started the game obviously, and then he didn't score.
Mhm.
Through the pick six, our defense actually played lights out. And that was like A&M's best year that they've had in the SEC or whatever.
Mhm.
So
And then beat him again last year, and it's like that
Yeah,
was
that
what it
year.
was like. Okay, I get it that A&M had the best recruiting class in history, but like they are not that good. Like,
they suck. No, they're just not. They're not just not good. They
no, I'm talking about before the season. Just like looking at
Yeah.
it before the season, like, they're not that good. Like,
I'll be honest. I kind of bought in a little bit. I was like, this looks like a real good team. Like they got dudes everywhere. And like not just
I thought 8-4.
freshman class, but just like I thought that like they had the dudes. I thought Haynes King comes back, all that.
With what Matt's saying, they don't have the schemes to be
I
a
just
good
thought-
team.
No, I know, but their scheme's been, worse than ever this year. It feels like, huh?
We've
No,
always
they've
always matched up perfect with A&M.
Yeah,
Like,
right. I just thought that like their scheme's always been like a little old, but like this year it's just like more obvious than ever how old it is, and like
I thought when Kevin Sumlin was there, it was a very forward-thinking offense. I'll say that.
yeah,
Whereas Jimbo comes back, and it's like they regress to the 90s.
right. But
And they have a great running back, but
it was working for
it's
him.
bad.
His first 3 years there, I thought, like 2018, obviously they scored 31 points on us in regulation and the 7 overtimes. I thought their offense was fine then. Last year they beat Bama, stuff like that, put up 38 on that 41, whatever it was. I mean, they were able to put up points. And this year it's just like there's nothing. And Akane's a good running back. Like their
Yeah.
offensive line's good. They got good players. And it's kind of and not that it's out of nowhere that their offense is bad and that their scheme's bad, but like it's like it got worse. I mean, something looks worse, right?
Yeah.
Because
You know what
Very
it seems like?
very
they
predictable.
haven't been 4-8 the past few years. This is obviously a worse team, but with better players. So it feels more like a culture thing than it's about. I mean, the scheme's obviously awful, but like it feels more about culture than it feels about scheme.
It
Yeah.
feels like the ghost of Ed Ogeron.
Maybe
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it
maybe.
feels like they're getting shit. They were talking all that shit after Ed got fired, and then Ed beats them in his last game at Tiger Stadium, and all of a sudden, shit just starts hitting the fan at A&M.
Kellen
It's karma, just complete
Karma, yeah. I mean, it's
Mond talking all that shit after 2018. I could see
yeah.
it.
Oh, Kellen Mond. Oh my
Fuck
God.
He got cut by the Vikings
Let's
after
just-
his
let's
first
just-
year.
Get past UAB week because the
Yeah.
next week, Texas A&M hate week is just epic. It's just on fire.
I got a lot of ready to.
You're just ready to click send.
I got some drafts, dude. I've been saving these drafts up since like September. Ready. Dude, because I mean, like they lost to App State like week 2 or fucking whatever, and like, dude, the memes that I came up with after that. I mean, they're golden. It's good stuff.
All right. So, all right, we get past Arkansas, obviously. Then the rankings come out last night. The playoff rankings. Yeah, we're already in the SEC West. We're the champs, so we're going to be in the game. Now there's a lot of like talk about okay, where we're ranked, who's ahead of us, who's behind us, things like that. And there's obviously a path to the playoff here.
Yep.
But like, what are y'all's thoughts on like who's saying what here? Like, obviously there's the Tennessee debate. Like, where if say we win out and we win the SEC championship game, does Tennessee get in the playoff?
No,
It depends on how Tennessee plays.
Well,
And
and my question is like, do they get in over Georgia?
it doesn't depend. It doesn't depend on on how Tennessee plays, in my opinion, because we would have wins over Ole Miss, top 15 team, Alabama, who's Alabama,
Yeah.
and Georgia, who's Georgia.
we'd have 3 at the time top 10 wins.
And
Two
and,
at
L-
the
and
time
Tennessee
top.
would just have LSU and Bama.
Right.
And we would have, Florida State's looking like they could finish 9-3. They could possibly be a top 15 team by then. And then the other losses they have the head-to-head win over us, which is tough, and it's a tough one to argue against. So,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, the big thing that everyone's going to be talking about is
Tennessee beat the shit
USC.
out of us.
Yeah, I mean that, but like, the big talking point's going to be Penn State not getting in, and whatever fucking year that was, that they were the 11-2 Big Ten champs,
Yeah.
and they let in Ohio State over them. Although it was a little different, Penn State had the head-to-head win over Ohio State, and in this case, Tennessee has the head-to-head win over us, which actually might go in Tennessee's favor. It could end up being Tennessee gets in over us. I could definitely see it.
But then Georgia wouldn't get in. Because Tennessee would have to be the 3 seed and Georgia would be the 4, and there's no way they're going
Would be the 4, and Georgia would be the 3.
Georgia only.
It's also, I mean, this is all like speculative because like you don't know what's going to happen with TCU and USC and teams like that.
Let me say this for USC: if USC wins out, I don't give a fuck. They're not making it.
That's not true.
I don't care.
That's not true because you're not thinking about what they would have to do that. They would have to go to UCLA this week, get that win. That's over a top 15 team. They would have to. I think they play another ranked team next week. I could be wrong.
Notre Dame, who's top 20.
Notre Dame, who's top 20. And then after that, they would have to win in the Pac-12 championship against Oregon or Utah. And that's they'd mark up 3 very high quality wins in their last 3 weeks, and they would probably get in.
But it's also at the time.
And hold on, sorry, their one loss is a 1-point loss to a top 10 team.
Utah,
yeah, they're 10.
Okay. Well, no. Here's what I'm saying: is you beat UCLA, who's top 15. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Cool. That's 2 top 25 wins. One was an Oregon State team that was overranked at the time.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
Washed. UCLA top 15, who's going to drop into the 20s after the loss. Right.
Okay.
They drop
Sure. They'll
18
drop
to 20. Right.
Yeah, they'll drop to like
and then
24 or something like that. Sure.
Notre Dame, who would still be a 20. Like, who's Notre Dame playing this week?
I don't know.
Okay. Hang on.
You can look it up. But either way, let's say Notre Dame wins this week for the hypothetical, and then they'd beat them. Or Notre Dame would drop to around like 20.
Right, 20 to 18. Right. That's 3 wins, 15 and below versus LSU. If say LSU wins out,
Get it?
just for hypothetical, so we could say like right, LSU's got to win over the number 1 team at the time, the number 7 team at the time, 2 number 7s. So it's 3 top 10 versus 3 top 25.
You're bending those numbers. You're bending those numbers because you said LSU's wins at the time versus USC's wins versus how they're currently ranked. You'd have to go with how they're all ranked currently. So against Georgia, it would be the number 3 team. Bama, it would be the number 7 or whatever they finish at, and then Ole Miss like the number 12. USC, and we have 2 losses. USC, it would be they beat Oregon State, who let's say they finish top 25, like 25 or something like that. Notre Dame, who finishes like 20 to 25, and then UCLA the same. And then they would also have to beat Oregon or Utah, who would finish in the top 15. So they would have, 15, 22, 23, 25, whatever, something like that. And they only have 1 loss, which was by 1 point in overtime.
Yeah.
So I think you have to put in and they're a conference champion. You'd have to put them in over LSU, or you're showing conference bias. I mean that's blatant conference bias at that point, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
They would have to get in over us. And I think if they beat UCLA this week, they're going to jump us. That's what
I
I was
think
saying on Twitter this week. Is like, who cares where they're ranked this week? If they go to UCLA and win that game, they jump us, and it doesn't matter.
Well, they still have to play the Pac-12 championship game
Right. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Is like, who cares where they're ranked right now?
for sure.
It's all about a play out. Like every avenue I try to think of this hypothetically, it's all just it's gonna play out, and like
I-
it's gonna be obvious who the top 4 teams should be.
Well, and I love that LSU is the chaos factor of all this. Like,
Yeah,
if they went out, that like we just like take a grenade and like,
we're beating them.
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think we've all tweeted it now at this point. It's like, holy fuck, it's 2007 again, and it's
No, we're beating.
what's gonna happen?
No, we're beating them. I'm pretty convinced of that at this point. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I think and then like
Fucking
TCU,
nuts.
they're undefeated. That really throws a wrench in it because it would be tough to let in Ohio State, TCU,
And
Georgia,
two SEC
and
teams.
LSU. And then if USC's wins out, then obviously I just said in my opinion they would have to be ahead of us. So
And you can't leave Georgia out even with one loss.
you can't leave Georgia out, even if we beat them by 10, you'd still have to have them ahead of us, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets hairy. It gets very hairy.
hairy, like big
But-
hairy dog. Full
Yeah.
circle. We came full circle.
I
Yeah.
think the next big game for me though is Michigan Ohio State, because that will really because I think if it's a close game, there's a chance that both of those teams do make the playoffs. One is
I
a
don't
2
see
and one
that.
at 4.
I just don't think either of them have high quality wins.
No, they don't. They have terrible schedules. That's the problem.
And neither of them would get in over Tennessee because Tennessee has, they beat us and Bama.
Right.
Obviously, they beat us convincingly at our
Now, what
place.
happens if, say,
I mean, a one
whoever
loss
wins
Tennessee, a
loses.
one loss Tennessee gets in before those guys.
Before
right?
you- yeah.
What if both teams end with one loss at the end of the season? Then neither of them get in.
Oh,
You're talking
so Ohio State wins and then loses the
Loses
Big Ten
in the championship.
Yeah.
Who
Then
fucking lose to like fucking Illinois? Like shit's not.
Oh yeah, no, that is. Hang on, the Big Ten West is a fucking shit show.
Terrible. It's one of. It's
All-
got to be the worst.
Every team is 4-3 in conference.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All 5 teams are 4-3 in conference.
it's like the NFC South. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Same thing.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks are like going to be a shit show in the Big Ten West. It's gonna be fucking awesome, actually.
There's still a chance that Rutgers can win it. I think,
like-
right? No,
like-
wait, no. Rutgers is East. My bad.
Yeah. I think that's peak college football right there.
Mhm.
Like if you're not talking about like contenders and stuff like that, that's like college football at its best. Is just like what the hell is going to happen in that division. Yeah, that's going to be fun. And then, but it doesn't matter. Whoever comes out of that, Ohio State, Michigan, they're going to beat the crap out of them. Like those aren't.
Yeah.
None of those teams are good. Like any of them. So. Not worried about that. I mean, if one of those teams did come out and pull that upset, Big Ten's probably not going to the playoff at all.
Yeah, I think this is a very down year for the Big Ten. They just have nobody else other than Ohio State and Michigan after them. Like as
Penn
far as
State-
like
West.
Penn State's
Penn
actually,
State's actually pretty good. I will say that. Yeah.
but Ohio State and Michigan beat the crap out of them because Ohio State
Yeah.
and Michigan are both
Well,
very-
Ohio State was in a really tough game with
Yeah,
Penn
that's
State
true.
until the
Yeah, but
probably like the end of the fourth quarter. Yeah.
they fucking killed them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
That was
they did. It was like
awesome.
21 points within like a matter of like,
like 2 minutes.
yeah, it was something crazy.
Crazy.
So
That's long winded.
yeah, I think I love being the chaos factor.
Mhm.
I love being the outsider. I like being the guy to the party that wasn't invited, and you're just there eating all the chips. I love that shit. So everybody's talking about us. Like,
I'll say this about just to close it out on USC. I don't think they're going to win out because like I think what the Pac-12 is so famous for is just like
Fucking up.
cannibalism, and just like they're always like the Pac-12. It's always like, oh, they have a shot. Like if this team wins out, and then someone beats them, it's just like they always have a 2-loss champion, so they can never get in. And I think it actually is a good conference. It's just like they have a lot of teams in there that are capable of beating anybody. So like like Utah and teams like that, like just under the radar kind of teams that are pretty good and very capable of beating
Or
anybody.
for some reason, Arizona State shows up for a game.
Right, or Arizona. I mean, goddamn,
Right.
Arizona came out of nowhere to beat Oregon last week.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think about? Okay, so Coach of the Year,
Heupel.
say a Heupel. I mean, do you think Brian Kelly's in that mix?
And he's in the mix, but it's Heupel. I
When
mean,
is that?
yes.
That's decided before championship weekend
I don't
or
know.
before bowl games, right? The
If
first
it's
round of bowl
bowl
games.
games, then I guess if we win the SEC championship, then it's Brian Kelly.
Wouldn't national like you would obviously Heupel, but you would also start looking at Lincoln Riley, right?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I think it's like if LSU and USC both went out, then it's between Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley.
Right.
But if neither team wins out, then it's Josh Heupel. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like one of them wins like the Portal Award, and one of them wins the Coach Award. The Portal Award goes to the guy who can get the best players and turn his team around the quickest. So Caleb Williams,
Yeah, Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison. Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's just they slid a briefcase onto Jordan Addison's car and just kind of highlighted it. They're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, come to USC."
yeah.
I mean, do what you got to do.
Speaking of Portal, we have Texas A&M coming up. That'll be their last home game, last game of the season, and they'll get to see us on full display. All those freshmen get to watch us for the last game of the season. Who are some of the players that you would pick and choose from?
Jordan
If you-
Matthews.
Let me go.
Jordan Matthews for sure.
Let me go on 247. Right.
Evan Stewart, the wide receiver.
Is he one of the ones that keeps getting in trouble?
No, that's Denver Harris.
Okay.
Denver Harris was actually leaning towards us before he went to A&M.
The arm sleeve kid, the Muhammad something.
Moose Muhammad, yeah, that's Musain Muhammad's son.
Ah,
Really?
Yeah, from old wide receiver from the Panthers.
let's see.
That's how fucking old I am.
I'll take any of the guys that were 5 stars coming out of high school. I'll take any of them. You know what I mean?
Evan Stewart is like is lightning in a bottle, man. Like that guy is unbelievable wide receiver.
Their 2023 class, and they're number 23 in the country. So it's a hard turn down for them.
Oh, really?
Edgren Cooper from 2020. He's from Louisiana.
Well, I say you got Louisiana kids. You got Denver Harris, Jordan Matthews. Jordan Matthews. Is it Jordan or Jacoby? Yeah, Jordan. Jacoby is this year. Jacoby's
Jacoby's this. Jordan is this year. Jacoby was last year.
okay. So
Jacoby's
Jacoby
on
plays
A&M
for
now.
A&M. Jordan Matthews plays for Woodlawn now. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah,
Tennessee.
Jacoby Matthews is the one we want.
How about Shamar Stewart? He was top 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll take him.
freshman, true freshman.
Yeah, no, he was between us and A&M too.
Yeah,
He's,
that kid's a baller.
6'6", 272, number 9 player out of high school. I'll take him. Evan Stewart. I don't know if they're brothers or something.
Le'Veon Moss. Holy shit! How could I forget?
Oh yeah.
Running back out of Estruma.
Connor Weigman. I'll take him. He's fun. Little
The
quarterback.
Johnson brothers. Bring back
Yeah. How about Max Johnson? Can we get him?
Max and Jake.
I think he's gonna have to sit out a year if he wants to do it again. You can't. You can only do it one time. So
Running back. Walter Nolan. Have y'all said him?
No.
He
no.
was the number 2 player coming out of high school. I don't know what he's up to or how he's feeling about Jimbo. But if he wants to wear arm sleeves, he can come play for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I love the arm sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the stupidest fucking thing I ever seen. So
That
what
was
happened there? Did you see? Did you see the whole issue?
I
tried to read up on it a little bit because I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But apparently somebody told them these apparently are very entitled freshmen, and
Mhm.
they said something about you're not allowed to wear arm sleeves, and something about how there was a fumbling issue with people that were wearing arm sleeves, and so this is like a rule that's not just this year. That have been like a couple of years that nobody was allowed to wear arm sleeves, and so then they come out with arm sleeves because they're like, we get paid more than you guys, coach. So we're gonna do whatever we want, and yeah,
Jimbo.
exactly. Not Jimbo. That's the only one. But I think that that's insane. Like I think that they have a lot of players that are just they're very entitled and they need to get to a better culture. And Jimbo does not know how to handle this.
You also
He's-
don't need to have these stupid fucking rules. Like shit like that is dumb. Like
Yeah.
that's not like okay, when you're talking about like having a good culture and having like good discipline, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like giving effort on every play. We're not talking about armbands.
Right.
Like that's not what builds a good football team is guys, wearing the right uniform and shit like that. That's not where we're at anymore. Like that's just I
Right.
don't, it's just it's like his offense. It's outdated philosophy.
I agree. There's a lot of that with him. And his offense is like, I heard him. He every press conference I see Jimbo Fisher on now, he's like defending himself, which is the worst thing ever. Like I actually feel bad for him a little bit, where I'm like, dude, this guy's just. I don't see him surviving this. Like, and I don't know. Like at the
5
end of the
games in, like,
year,
he's done.
He's not getting fired
you don't think he's getting fired?
too quick. They're not going to pull it that fast, and it's too. I mean, I know you're always talking about how the buyout. There's no such thing as too big of a buyout. Blah blah blah. Um, it is a big buyout though, and he is. He has proven that he can do good things. So you probably are going to want to give him one more year when you got to pay him 90,000 or not. Sorry, 90 million. Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean I understand all that, and I understand it's more of an optics thing when it comes to the buyout, and that goes for anybody. Look at what fucking Auburn's doing. Like
I mean,
people are worried about paying Harsin a buyout and trying to hire Kiffin and saying that they couldn't afford it, and I'm like, Auburn?
yeah.
No, Auburn can fucking afford it. They
Well,
just
that
it's
was
more about
that was why we didn't end up getting Jimbo, is because F King said that the optics
yeah,
were
it was the optics.
buyout on Les Miles and then
Yep.
taking Jimbo. And,
Yes.
that actually I guess worked out pretty well. But
I agree. So yeah, that's again with A&M, like that's what it would be. But like at the same time, if it's like a catch-22, I get not firing him because you gotta pay so much more money. But like when you're paying him the amount of money that you're already paying him, and you have him under contract for so long, like it makes it to where your hand gets tied a little bit to where you need to make this decision because you have a lot of money invested in him that if you
Yeah.
can afford it, go ahead and get rid of the guy. You're 4-8, you're fucking 4-8.
Yeah.
Like you're paying him way too much money to be 4-8. How much money is that per win? Like it's crazy. Like to think about it that way. Like that's at LSU, you would be fucking fired.
10? He gets
How,
10.
how, what would Brian Kelly's record had to been this year to be fired first year?
1 win.
I know it's not really the same like comparison.
Well, what is his buyout? First off,
3-9.
I think they'd eat it.
I think
I think if
4 he'd survive, but
I
3,
agree. 4-8 probably survives. 3-9, I think he gets fired.
I think so.
It also depends on the games.
I agree with that. But say you win like 3 non-conference games.
Yeah, like you lose Florida
But,
State,
like-
you beat Southern, New Mexico, and
UAB.
If it's
and
like
all
who's
the Power
Nebraska?
Fives lose
Scott
equal.
Frost, where every single one of his wins or losses the year this year, last year, or not this year, last year and the year before were all 1-score losses.
Yeah.
So that's why they kept hanging on. Right?
I just don't-
1-score games.
I think
you lose
they hung on
We're
two
just
years
not-
too long with Scott Frost.
We're just not Nebraska, too.
I agree. I think Nebraska held on way too long to Scott Frost.
But it's a first year coach. If he's got 9 losses that are 1-score losses, I think you eat it for the next year.
But if you go 3-9, they're not all 1-score losses.
Well, and
There's no chance. If we were that bad of a team to go 3-9, we wouldn't have played Bama to a 1-score game. We wouldn't have played.
well, so all right,
There would have been some blowouts.
you just said something about A&M. You just said something about A&M. Like, so last year, obviously, number 1 recruiting class in the country. This year coming in, they're at what, 23? You said
Something like that. Yeah.
I could look at it.
22 maybe.
that's already telling you where things are. Like, it's telling you that you're on a major decline, and you hit it big with all the money that you spent, which is great. But now you're probably even trying to spend the money, and you can't even get people to you now.
Yeah,
Like-
23.
Like, bro, that's
Well, I said it, I think, when we first started talking about NIL. I think I said it. I said people are going to overspend in the first 2-3 years. People are going to fucking overspend in NIL no matter what. And then you'll see it start to level off because they realize this isn't exactly an investment. The only way you make money back is if your team wins. But how much money are you making back if so there's only one national champion and there's only 4 playoff spots?
mm-hmm.
How much money are you making when you go to those bowl games?
Yeah, but
You'll
I think it's just
eventually see
being. I think it's just being on the upturn of a program, and like obviously LSU's on an upturn, but like A&M is on a major decline, like major. And you can say, obviously, I saw a stat this weekend. I don't know what game I was watching, but it was like maybe it was the Auburn when Auburn beat A&M that like the most snaps played by freshmen in the SEC this year, and it was like Texas A&M by far, like probably tripled anybody else that had like the most snaps played by freshmen of any other school. I think LSU was 3rd, but like I understand all that, and you're playing a lot of these guys because you brought them in. I mean, they're great guys, but like you can't develop. We have 2 fucking true freshmen like tackles. Like,
Yep.
You think that's ideal? No, we just won the West.
Yep.
Like you got to produce, man. I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you. Like,
Yeah, I mean you can't just win one game. In
you
this.
brought the best fucking recruiting class in the history of college football. Like, you can't win 4 games.
and
like-
they're gonna leave too.
Yeah, they're gonna leave. It's gonna be an exit. So okay, so that would be a question: is like, okay, does Jimbo keep his job, and then all of a sudden the portal opens and all these guys leave? Does he still keep his job? Like, I mean, can you go back and say, yeah, I don't know, this might not have been a great decision. Go ahead and go now. Like,
I don't
I
know.
mean, I could see them losing like 10 guys out of that recruiting class.
I think, but I mean, you fire them or not, they're gonna leave because they're not gonna stay for like
Well,
a coaching change.
Sure, for sure. No, it's
It's-
more
that's-
at that point. It's more about like, okay, you couldn't get this done, Jimbo. Not only could you not win with them, you couldn't even keep them for the second year.
And
Like,
you know, you can say they're entitled, whatever. This is like so many guys. You can't say they're all entitled.
I agree. I
There's
think it's
so
more of
much.
I think it's more of the culture that he has in place.
These are all guys that like decided to go to College Station to play football, and albeit for money, but like they're all really good players. Like,
Yeah,
they're not
for
all
sure.
just like entitled like douchebags. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 of them is, but you know, I mean, these are, you know, they're fucking kids too.
Well, it's like, I mean, it's like Zach Evans coming out of high school. I mean,
Yeah.
he left his own fucking high school football team, and he ends up going to the Under Armour All American game, and he didn't even have a high school, like, because he had quit the team. Like, he was a hothead, and like nobody really recruited him hard. He ends up going to TCU. Now he's at Ole Miss. I mean, he's a great running back, and I think he's got himself together now. But it's like some of those kids need like environments where they're going to be. It's going to be suited for them to like be successful. And right now, I don't see that with A&M. I think they all came in there thinking that they were all going to be just like the dream team coming in and running shit, and they go into a locker room running shit. And like, I think there's probably a culture issue with some of the guys that were probably there, and these guys coming in and they're making money and they're not making money. And there's a lot of that shit. I mean, it's an NIL disaster.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of our 2020 class with Eric Gilbert, Eli Ricks, right? Eric Gilbert, Eli Ricks, Max Johnson, TJ all came in the same 2020 class. How many of those guys other than Kayshawn is still here?
Keyshawn.
Kayshawn. I mean, let's look. Hang on.
Because
But
of
like,
course.
you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden the culture's a little bit different.
Yeah, but it's not. I just think even with those guys, though, I mean, maybe Gilbert was like a head case that you were never gonna figure out because he's got some significant off the field stuff. But like a guy like Eli Ricks, like if we would have had a winning culture here already, if he would have come here, if say he was a freshman now and he came here under Brian Kelly, he
Yeah.
wouldn't have been this like head case kind of guy or whatever. Because like now he's starting for Alabama. Now he's doing fine. He's under the right winning culture, all that. Coach speak, blah blah blah.
I
And
say that. I forget BJ was a part of that class.
playing well. Oh yeah, BJ too. That's right. Yeah, it was a great class. But I just think it's all about like the culture that you set, and like these are all very malleable kids, and they're all really good at football. It's like if you put them in the right culture, like what Alabama does every year, they're going to produce and they're going to turn out to be real good football players.
Yeah, for sure.
Most,
I mean,
the vast majority of them will.
isn't it funny to see like Eli Ricks takes so long to get on the field, and then finally when he gets on the field, he's Eli Ricks again, right? Like, but it took so long to kind of get that. Like, I almost feel like it was an old culture that he had in his head, and then he gets to this new system that's like a professional system, and he has to get his arms around it. Like he doesn't know how to act in that system yet, and
I think it all stemmed from how poorly Coach O handled COVID. Because he just when COVID hit, it was like he let guys do whatever the fuck they wanted to do.
yeah,
It was really just like that. And, Jamar.
John Emery. Like,
Yeah, with the grades, for sure.
Yeah, didn't even it's like he didn't even go to class like
Yeah.
during that whole year, and it's like everybody let things slip, and
Did
then
you
he's
hear-
still paid for it this year. Like it's
Did you
crazy.
hear what Brian Kelly said about Micah Baskerville this week?
What's that?
I thought that was fascinating. He said, I think of a guy like Micah Baskerville and how because I think they asked him about like senior night or something like that, and like just like how the culture's changed. He says, I think of a guy like Micah Baskerville who everyone said before I got here that he didn't really care about going to class. He didn't care about his grades. He wasn't a hard worker. And now he's like, one of the hardest workers on the team. He's really enthusiastic about his grades, all this. And I'm like, you're just openly saying that he didn't care about his grades or like.
Oh, I love the way he says stuff like that. Like
I was like, holy shit! Like
I love how like candid Brian Kelly is and stuff like that, where he's just like, no, this guy he didn't understand how to do things, and now he understands how to do things.
Yeah, it's also kind of backhanded to the administration too, and he's just like, look, these are my players. I'm going to make sure they get the grades they need.
I feel like it's more directed towards like
pass.
Literally, there is nobody like even in the football ops administration building. Like, they're not there anymore. Like when he cleaned house, Like you got Verge Osbury, he's got his secretary basically. Like there's only a couple of people like that knew anything other than that. Like, it's all new people. So
Verge is on his way out, right?
Oh, I'm sure he is. But it's like he saw the writing on the wall when he walked in the door, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, this is a shit show." Like we have to like. I think of. I always think back of. Like we need to do like a skit of like Marcus Freeman's interview at LSU for the defensive coordinator position, like and what like what he saw, and then like he decided, nah, I'm gonna go to Notre Dame. Like this is like I could just imagine like like what an interview was like with
Ed sitting there popping pork rinds,
and it's like we know Durante and all that, and like but there was only certain guys that were going to be able to take those jobs. Like they knew you may have had a lame duck coach like that was there, and you saw the operation, you saw the organization there, and it's like there's only certain guys that are that need the opportunity to take that job, and Marcus Freeman didn't have to do that. Like, who was the other guy for the Mississippi State defensive coordinator that walked in and basically walked out?
Yeah, Zach something.
Yeah, I forget his last name, but yeah, it's the same thing. It was like, no, I'm gonna go stay with Mike Leach.
Yeah.
Like, that's rough. That's a rough look.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So
Good.
all right, well, good talk. Let's a few of our other of our sponsors we need to get to here. Bocock Brothers Cigars. Our guys over at Bocock, Doug and Bryant, been with us for a while now. Out of the Houston area, they live and work in Houston. Started a cigar company about 2 years ago, and they're just now kind of like it's starting to blow up. They're going to different events all the time, showcasing their cigars. He just gave me a new package of a couple of new boxes of cigars just came in. We appreciate those guys. And then also Courtesy Automotive Group. Brandon Lejean over at Courtesy Automotive Group. Fantastic with us. He's our OG sponsor. Call Brandon. You can see his number on the screen, 337-224-1867. And you can text him. You can send him a message on Facebook. If you have a car you're looking for, even if it's not at their shop, he will search it, he'll find it, and he will. They can even do a deal with you with you not having to come to Lafayette. So you can actually deliver a car to you. He can send you all the paperwork. It's just the way of doing business now in the car industry. So call Brandon. And look at that bald head. He loves that clean dome. He's going all the basketball games. We need to talk a little bit about basketball. 2-0, and he's on the McMahon train here. So
let's talk about that basketball team real quick.
yeah, let's do that. Did you go to any of the games yet?
I went to the opener against
Okay.
The Kangaroos, but
Mhm.
this feels like a 3-man team right now. I don't feel like there's anyone else on this team. And if you watch the Arkansas State game, you would understand why. There were only 3 guys on the team who made a field goal. Everyone else was either 0 for or didn't shoot a field goal attempt at all.
Right.
Those are Adam Miller, Justice Hill, and KJ Williams. Only 3 guys that made a shot. And then there were 2 other guys that made some free throws. It was Trey Hannibal and Phillips. Just not, and we expected this. We didn't have super high hopes. I think some people did, but it's just not a good basketball team right now. And there's just some guys that haven't stepped up that maybe are going to step up at some point. But if they don't step up, then this is going to be a long year. I think Adam Miller is sick. He had 26 against Arkansas State on Saturday. He's going to be good all year. KJ Williams is going to be good all year. You can just see him. We were fortunate to get some pretty good spots against Kansas City. Although it's not like tickets were tough to come by. It was pretty empty at the PMAC, but KJ Williams is huge. He's massive, and his game's gonna translate to the SEC, no doubt, in my opinion. Justice Williams, I like his game. I saw someone said that he needs to work on his decision making, but that's not what I saw. I thought he does a pretty good job of always, he'll pass up on a 3, hit the extra pass up on a 3, drive, kick a lot. I think he's a smart player, and I think if we can get maybe 2 more guys to step up and kind of be like significant contributors. I was hoping that guy would be Mawani, but so far I haven't really seen that from him.
You feel like he's just it just reverted into like a 3-and-D guy?
Yeah, and maybe that's okay. Because he is real good on defense, and he hit.
But you remember his like freshman year, he came in, he was like, he was like all over the boards. He was like above the rim all the time.
Yeah,
and like now I feel like he's kind of standing back more.
We were right behind the bench on for the first game, and I thought he looked like a leader. He was like the vocal guy is what it looked like, and Adam Miller does a lot of that too.
Yeah.
But I like to see that because if he's going to be like this defensive, hit some threes here and there. I just like his biggest problem has been that he's been a liability on defense throughout his career. I mean on offense, sorry.
Oh, let's say, yeah,
Yeah,
Wines,
I mean
yeah.
he's great at defense. I think on offense, it's just all he has is just being a spot up shooter,
Sure.
and he can. I think a lot of times when he has those open threes, I mean he hits them at a pretty decent clip. So shoot it sometimes, but a lot of times if
Yeah.
he'd start passing up on those and start driving, he could be a real good player and he could average 8 to 10 points a game.
Or don't take the shot, pass it off, and crash the rim. Like
That
he's
too.
one of those guys that I see.
He flies, dude.
Yeah, he flies. He can get some garbage points.
He's like one of those 42-inch vertical guys. I mean,
It's crazy to have a 42-inch vertical guy just standing back behind the arc all the time. Like
This
that's
is
kind of what I'm.
I see a lot of speed.
You know who showed up on my TV the other day?
Who's that?
Eric Gaines.
Oh,
Playing for UAB.
UAB.
Yeah, UAB.
Fuck.
Jesus Christ. Dude, he's a freak. You saw he got ejected from the first game?
Yeah.
No,
Awesome.
Fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's
I didn't
crazy.
see that.
What a
What
freak.
happened?
You'd have to ask Sam. He would know. But
yeah.
I think he was just jawing. That's all.
Yeah.
He's just mouthing.
Oh, it's my favorite player of all time.
Dude, he's
Ugh.
fun. I'm so upset that we didn't keep it.
He's gotta
Honestly,
have
him being on this team would have been like the piece that we needed, probably.
Yeah.
Him,
So
Justice, and Adam Miller would have been a pretty sweet backcourt. But
Yeah.
it's he's not there.
he
the
is
other
like
guy that's in the backcourt is Trey Hannibal.
Mhm.
He gets a lot of playing time, and he's thick. I mean, he's got to be like 6'4", maybe smaller than that, maybe like 6'2", 6'3". But he's got to be like 230 pounds. I mean, he's a fucking brick wall. I mean, he's huge. And he plays aggressive. From what I saw, he looked like he was playing good defense. But I mean, it's against Kansas City, so we'll see
yeah.
once we actually play a real team how that actually looks. But he looked like he's a bit of a maybe offensive liability as well. But it's early. Team's got to gel. So there's going to be guys that step up. I just don't know who it's going to be yet.
Yeah, I think that's part of it is play a good amount of guys now and see who's going to be able to translate on the court.
I could see it flip-flopping all year.
Yeah. I mean, you got a lot of depth to where you can do that. I know he doesn't want to play a ton of guys at one time, but I think he's got a lot of time to figure out what his rotation is going to be like. So
there's a couple bigger guys too. I think his name's Jalen Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's like a 7-footer.
That's the 4 or 5 star.
Yeah.
That's it.
I feel like Will Wade didn't do that though. Especially even if he had a bunch of new guys on the team, he would just stick with 5 or 6, like a 1
Charlie,
and 2 group.
Where you been, Charlie? I mean, this is your first basketball season with us. You're going to find out that this is what our conversation was my entire time with Will Wade, was that we finally got fucking depth.
Charlie, you
with
have no idea the bag of worms you just opened with Matt.
Yeah. Like, when you have 12 scholarship guys and you only play 8 of them,
Yeah.
And the other 4 are actually
solid players.
3
One
to
of
4
them being
stars.
Sharif.
Yeah, play these guys. At least spell Josh Gray. That was the one that was always it was Jack's laughing because we've had this conversation a million times. But Josh Gray was on the bench. He's at South Carolina now. But Josh Gray was on the bench even as a freshman. He's a 7-footer, 240. He's a body that you could spell somebody and at least get a foul. At least get a foul for play 2 to 3 minutes in a game. That's all I want. I don't want anything
Go out
more.
there, get a tech, knock that dude over.
Yeah, take a foul and get him out of there and get a quick rest for somebody else. So that was it.
Holy crap.
I'm off my soapbox.
Sorry.
Until next
I
week.
didn't mean to do that. I was just
Charlie. You made a very bad mistake. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Yeah. I'm going to be thinking about why don't we play 10 men on the court? Why did Miles Brennan have happy feet in Mississippi State 2020? There's all these things that are triggers for me, and that was one of them. So let's end it on that. Let's end on that happy note. Before we do that, we need to go over our.
I just want to show this real quick. Can y'all see this?
Yes.
Check this shit out.
You see him going through it between every play.
Are y'all seeing this? Look at how much snow's going on.
Well,
This
he's-
is
He's
Michigan,
torso.
West
It's
Michigan.
like a green screen.
How crazy is that?
that's a lot of snow.
Is that
Good.
happening right now?
Yeah, that's the hustle belt.
Holy shit!
The Hustle Belt.
That's
I
what
like
they.
that name.
That's what the Sun Belt named their conference. Apparently, or no. That's not the Sun Belt though.
No, that's the that was the MAC.
Mac.
Is that the MAC?
Yeah, Central
Mac,
Michigan.
Maction, baby.
Yeah.
It's from an account called the Hustle Belt.
Oh, okay. All right, so we got to go over score predictions for this week.
Yep.
UAB.
Yeah.
What do you guys got? I think
Go,
y'all
Charlie.
already know, right?
Give me 50-10.
50-10.
Fuck
They-
UAB.
Wow.
Wow.
Holy cow! You hate Sam. Oh my god.
Goodness gracious.
All right.
I want to get the fuck out of that stadium as soon as possible.
Dude.
Okay.
I'm just praying it's like a 3-score game at half because it's just gonna be so cold, dude. And it's gonna be like 10 o'clock at halftime too. Like,
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Not a-
Honestly, somebody's gonna die. Somebody's
not a
dying.
I'm not a complainer, and I'm not a big like leave at halftime guy. But like this, if you're ever gonna leave at halftime, this is the
This
week
one.
to do it. I'm hoping
Yeah.
we just bury him early. If we don't, you obviously you gotta stay. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I was at 27-10 earlier today. I think I'm at 31-10 now.
Okay.
I think or 34-10. I'll go 34.
34-10. Okay,
Yeah.
because you're close to me.
Just another touchdown. Yeah, I think
Okay.
I think we do put them away. I think we do put them away early. I think the offense is going to come out. They had their bad week just now, and now I think the receivers are going to be, and obviously Jaden Daniels is going to be hungry to just go out there and put some yards up. So
Right.
I think,
Kayshawn with a trio.
yeah, I think we're
Oh, okay.
I think we're up something like 17-3 or after half. So
I'm close to that. I'm 31-13, and I just don't see a team like UAB able to score a lot of points against us. And I think honestly, us scoring 31 points against UAB isn't like setting the world on fire. So I just don't see. I think it's just the other way. Like our defense putting the clamps on them to where we'll probably have good field position, things like that, and we can kind of just keep the game going along. And honestly, they're not a bad team. So if anybody thinks that going in, like they need to understand that UAB is not.
they're a
like,
fine little G5 team. They're one of the
Exactly.
better. They're one of the better G5 teams.
Yeah. Speaking of G5, we need to get Tulane Billy on here maybe next week.
Shit.
Jesus, Tulane. We don't have Tulane Billy on this
Hey,
year. We're
Tulane-
never gonna have him.
Tulane lost to UCF this past week, but they're not out of the American Conference race.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
not. There's no divisions there. So if they beat SMU at home this week, it's their favored. And then the tough part's they got to go on the road, beat Cincinnati.
Okay.
And then the following week, they would have to go to UCF and beat them in the
In
American
the championship game. Yeah.
So it's a tough road, but if they do somehow win the next 3 weeks, I wouldn't pick that to happen. But if they do it, then they'll be in the Cotton Bowl, and LSU might be in the Cotton Bowl too. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be fun. All right, so let's wrap it up. Been a good podcast tonight. We took a week off and now we just went a little later. I mean, for the episode, but it's fine. All right, for Charlie, we got Jack here. It has been One Team, One Podcast.
Logan out.